mindset. I can't stop hustling every minute, every second. Can't stop hustling.
WWE talent unhappy about being left off WrestleMania card. Roman Reigns makes history in 2K23. And Kenny Omega open-minded about going to WWE. This and more on this week's episode of Shot of Brew. What's going on, party people? This is Bros, Brews, and Botches with another episode of Shot of Brew. I'm your bro, Yellow Boy, and I hope that you had an amazing week this week. If this is your first time watching, this here is a Shot of Brew where we bring you a shot of news from this week in professional wrestling. But before we get going, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you know when the bros are bringing you something new to you, the people. You people. And without further ado, let's get to the news. WWE talent unhappy being left off the WrestleMania card. So it's WrestleMania season, ladies and gents. Now this story comes to us through WrestlingNews.co's paywall. The report is that some of the WWE performers are complaining about the slots on the WrestleMania card being occupied by celebrities and legends. Fancy that. From the report, they say there's also some unhappiness about some of the slots on the show being used by legends and celebrities. Obviously, things could change, but those we spoke to were not happy about being involved in the company's biggest show of the year in Los Angeles. In addition to this, WrestlingNews.co also claimed that Triple H wants a small card this year for WrestleMania. This would mean that a lot of the active roster would not be on the shows. Previously, an effort was made to include as many wrestlers on the card as possible, implementing things like battle royals to aid this. Obviously, just like with anything in WWE, card is subject to change, but we here at Bros, Brews, and Botches will have to just see what's going to happen on the road to WrestleMania. Now, one person that will definitely be on WrestleMania with his historic title run is one Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is being acknowledged by 2K Games in another regard other than that title run. So, currently, Reigns is over 900 days with the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. With this feat, and with 2K23 right around the corner, coming out to game consoles on March 17th, 2K has been showcasing the ratings reveal for superstars. Now you got Becky Lynch. She's the highest rated woman in the history of WWE games at a 96. Well, the old tribal chief tops that and more. 2K Games awarded Reigns with the overall rating of a 99. That's the highest rated star in the history of the franchise. Reigns' rating beats out the old high of 98 that was held by The Undertaker in WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. The game is now scheduled to release on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, and Windows PC with standard, cross-gen, deluxe, and icon editions. So go check that game out. Maybe we'll play it on Twitch or something when it comes out. Who knows? Now, from WWE stars to WWE's potential interest in an AEW star, Kenny Omega is said to be open-minded about going to WWE. Now, cast your minds 1 week ago. Remember, we talked about the interest that WWE has in Kenny Omega. This week, Wade Keller from PW Torch spoke about a potential move from Kenny, saying, quote, "I haven't independently verified rumors of WWE being interested in Omega. I have confirmed they're aware of Omega's open-mindedness to come to WWE. That's what I've been told, that he's open-minded to landing in WWE before his career is over. The attitude is not, I love AEW, I'm going to stay here forever, that is not apparently the belief within WWE. They don't believe that's Kenny's mindset at this point. Now, Keller does go on to speak about how WWE is not currently at the point to do all they can to acquire Omega, as they're happy with their staff, but they do see Kenny Omega as a great asset to their company due to Omega's popularity. Now, it is to note that Wrestling Observer reported that Omega will have an extension to his current AEW contract due to the time off for injuries. So a possible immediate move, not currently in the card, but where Omega will lie after his contract is over is still in the air. Now, moving over finally from one possible AEW star leaving the company to possibly another, Dax Harwood was very vocal after being seemingly snubbed by his own company. So this week, the Wrestling Observer newsletter had their awards. The official AEW Twitter account sent out a series of tweets congratulating several members of the roster for winning. Unfortunately, FTR did not receive a congratulatory tweet with winning Best Tag Team of the Year and Best Feud of the Year with the Briscoes. While the Briscoes were mentioned, FTR were not. Now, this didn't go unnoticed by old Uncle Dax there. He posted a screenshot of the congratulatory tweets with a caption that read, quote, "Tell me April's around the corner without telling me April's around the corner," end quote. This would seemingly be in reference to FTR's contracts coming up at the end of April, something that Uncle Dax has made mention of on this podcast. It can also be of note that Dax has been adamant that he and Cash Wheeler will be taking a year off, only competing in select indie shows after their contracts expire. Dax has also disputed that he is unhappy with AEW after all this had happened, posting another tweet saying as such, and posting that he's, quote, the happiest he's ever been, end quote. So we'll see where that happiness is going to be once his contract is up at the end of April. And that's the news, y'all. Make sure that you like this video, and if you could be so kind to also post a comment on the video in order to aid us with the algorithm and get us on our way to 1K subs. Also, stay tuned at the end of the video in order to get the last in this series of the Black History Month Spotlight. Also, please check out the description below to follow the bros on all social channels, including Hogs Wars. He now has an IG page, so get down in there and go find it. And also get yourself some Bros, Brews, and Botches merch from Elevated Creation. And check out more music from L Spade with the dope music that you hear in the background. Well, you can get you some more of that dope music if you go check his link out in the description below. I want to say thank you for watching. Remember, at the end of this, please stay tuned for the final installment of this year's Black History Month Spotlight. However, as always, we love you, and until next time, we out.
Bros, Brews, and Botches celebrates Black History Month. Ethel Johnson. Ethel Blanche Wingo was born May 14, 1935, to Gladys Chase and Clifford Wingo. Johnson had two sisters, Betty, the older of the two, and Marva. Originally born in Decatur, Georgia, the family was raised in Columbus, Ohio. Ethel's sister Betty was the first to train as a pro wrestler, followed by Ethel. The two would take judo and gymnastics classes at the Columbus YMCA on top of their wrestling and strength training. In a time where gender laws and segregation ruled, women and people of color were rarely allowed to participate in the sport of pro wrestling, even as spectators. However, One promoter would help to change the perception and the scope of wrestling forever. While the records of pro wrestling were not comprehensive at that time, it was known that Ethel debuted at the age of 16 with Betty, better known as Babs, and their friend Kathleen Wembley. When women were finally able to compete professionally in the early 1900s, Mildred Burke was listed as the first woman to win the original World Women's title in the United States. Burke's ex-husband, Billy Wolfe, was a wrestling promoter with a reputation of creating a draw for women's wrestling by pushing young, attractive, and athletic girls. Wolfe was reportedly inspired by Jackie Robinson due to Robinson breaking the color barrier in the MLB. Wolfe searched for young black women to integrate into pro wrestling. It was in the 1950s that Billy Wolfe signed Ethel and older sister Betty, who went by the name Babs. Ethel's younger sister Marva later joined the pair as a professional wrestler. In 1952, Ethel, along with her sisters, worked matches including one in Baltimore, Maryland, which drew the highest record crowd at the time of 3,611. It was by 1954 that Ethel and Babs were able to have top billing alongside Gorgeous George after drawing a crowd of 9,000 in Kansas City, Missouri. While wrestling, Ethel was known for her feats of athleticism, as she was one of the first women to perform a standing drop kick and a variation of the flying head scissors. The list of women that Ethel faced during her career included some of the most popular of the time, including June Byers and Penny Banner. Ethel also found herself challenging Mildred Burke for the NWA Women's World Championship. Ethel also was able to garner the attention of Stu Hart. She then wrestled for Hart's Big Time Wrestling promotion as well as Capital Wrestling Corporation. In July of 1956, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Ethel and June Byers won the NWA Women's World Tag Team Championship, defeating Penny Banner and Betty Jo Hawkins, becoming the first African American women's tag team champions. A mother by day and pro wrestler at night, Ethel raised 3 children and made efforts for the two worlds to be separate to provide a normal life for her children. Ethel also performed during the time of Jim Crow laws, where it was documented that she would have to hide in the trunk of a car if she was riding with a white co-worker in the South. Despite this, Ethel was still a draw. One of Ethel's dreams was to perform at Madison Square Garden, but due to a ban on women's wrestling in New York, it was never to be. Ethel worked her last match against her younger sister Marva at American Wrestling Association in 1976. Ethel Johnson passed away in September 2018 in Columbus, Ohio, due to heart disease. She is surpassed by her 3 children and husband. Ethel Johnson was placed in the WWE Hall of Fame Class of 2021 Legacy Branch. Unfortunately, WWE used incorrect footage when remembering Ethel Johnson. However, if it were not for Ethel and her sisters, there would not be room for women's champions such as Mercedes Moné, Jade Cargill, Naomi, or any other woman of color. Ethel Johnson excelled in a time where it was not only difficult to garner adulation due to being a woman, but more incredibly difficult because she was a woman of color. Described as the Black Wonder Woman, Ethel Johnson could do it all. If you have the time, please search out the movie Lady Wrestler by director Chris Bornia that chronicles this incredible story of Ethel Johnson. But due to her being an absolute pioneer of not only wrestling, but of the culture of the time, we here at Bros, Brews, and Botches proudly celebrate Ethel Johnson.